Hey, there you are. Welcome back. Episode 28. Today we head out to Albuquerque, New Mexico to talk to Perry Vasquez of Unga Guitars. Perry is a former luthier at Santa Cruz Guitars, now has his own shop in Albuquerque, and is doing great things for the luthier community in that area with his High Desert Luthiery Invitational conference, celebrating its second anniversary coming up next month here in December 2025. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. Let's get into it. Hey, what is up, Perry? I appreciate you joining the club. Unga Guitars, how are you?
I'm great. Good to be here, Brian. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time. You're one of my early supporters, and I appreciate that. So tell me about yourself. I believe that you started building guitars in high school out in California. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I ended up in woodshop, what I thought by accident, and my music teacher and the woodshop teacher, they kind of got together, and they had a plan for me to make a guitar, and I was cringing about it the whole time until I got into it, and I, never stopped doing it since then.
You
Um,
weren't really into it at the beginning. You were a little apprehensive going in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, very
the,
much.
the tools and everything.
Yeah, I was dead set on I'm gonna play guitar. I was playing guitar in my uncle's band, sort of learning on stage as an R&B band, and I was just loving it. It's quite the way to come into guitar. It's like he gives me a Japanese Squire Strat and excellent guitar
Yeah,
and says, "Hey, get on stage," and taught me that way. Well, the guitar player in the band, he showed me the ropes, and
yeah.
I was absorbed into the music program in my high school, and we had a guitar program and a vocal program, and that was like all I wanted to do. And so getting put in woodshop after a couple years of doing that was not uh, it was not welcomed, and I was really uncomfortable. But the whole process it intrigued me,
Yeah.
and so I just kept doing it. Even after I graduated, I was like, how do I figure out how to do this without a whole shop? And I stumbled across a Stu Mac catalog. I don't remember how. Um,
Hmm.
and we didn't have the internet in the town I grew up, so it was like, oh wow, this is cool. And I think like my grandma helped me make my first order because she loved ordering things. And yeah, I I don't know how old I was, but either anyhow, I ended up at the local community college and in the library one day and stumbled across they had like the whole catalog of Guitar Player magazine and
Oh, cool.
came across an ad for Roberto Venn, and at that point I was playing music semi-professionally, working musician, and I was doing repairs just out of my garage where I
Hmm.
had sort of set up shop, and I was kind of like stalled out in the community college. Like I don't know what I want to do. I was working a part-time job, and I was making good money. I didn't have a lot of responsibilities, especially playing music and doing repairs. And I saw Roberto Venn. And I was like, "What's this?" And I really wanted to learn about acoustic guitars. It was too foreign to me. I didn't know there was a bunch of books, and so I decided, hey, I'm going to do this, and I got in pretty quick. Didn't have to wait too long, and I just dropped everything, went and did the program there, came back home. They got me a job with Santa Cruz Guitar, and oddly enough, I was cringing again. It's funny because I ended up staying there for 10 years, and but I was just so turned off to the process, and I think a lot of it was, well, a lot of it was me. A lot of it was the other half of it was the sort of attitude at Roberto Van at the time,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was. I feel like it was an unfortunate thing, and I've sort of fallen victim to this where you're you're kind of tired of what you're doing and you're just kind of kicking the tires. And I feel like a lot of the instructors at that time were sort of dealing with burnout,
Mm.
and um, and it was just a really odd thing. There was like 36 people in my class, but at the end of the day, I came home and maybe waited a few months and got a phone call from Santa Cruz. Hey, we need somebody, and we called Roberto Vin, and they said you're not too far. And Santa Cruz was about a 45-minute drive, um,
Hmm.
and that was in traffic at that time. It later turned into like a 3-hour drive, um,
Oh.
and that's when things had to change. But um, I stayed there. It was a really cool experience. When
So
you're
you were
inside.
there, was it in the, when were you with Santa Cruz?
So I was there from '05 to about 15,
Okay,
um,
cool.
and it it was it was really cool looking back at it now. I met so many I met so many awesome luthiers.
Hmm.
Um, that shop makes some of the most amazing acoustic guitars in the world. They still do.
Yeah.
There's something about them. I get to work on them now and then here in New Mexico, and it's it's really amazing how easy they are to work on and how well made they are.
Hmm.
And getting to work on a bunch of other guitars as well. But I just got to meet so many people. I got to be in the magazines, that come
Hmm.
through and do tours and take pictures, and I got to meet so many amazing musicians, well known and not well known. I got to be a part of so many amazing builds. Got to use a lot of different wood,
Mm.
so much Brazilian rosewood, and you learn right away if you're sort of paying attention. I like working with this material. I don't like working with this material.
Yeah.
But the other half of it was the volume. It really, I came in with a severely sensitive respiratory system, and I left in a hot mess.
Uh,
And we didn't do our best at using safety gear all the time. We didn't really, respect that sort of thing as much as we needed to, and the sort of the being in the wood shop. My job was running the wood shop and training people. I also sprayed lacquer at
mm.
the end of my time there, and I think all of that. I'm wearing a spacesuit, but it was still too hard on my system.
Yeah.
So
And
that
that's why you moved to New Mexico?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. My doctor essentially told me you need to stop what you're doing, and
Mm.
if you want to keep living. And I was in really bad shape. I was sick all the time,
Mm.
and so we decided, hey, you know what? We need to move. And my girlfriend had lived out here in New Mexico when she was younger,
Mm.
and up in the Taos area. And so we made an effort to get up there, and we ended up in Albuquerque. And
Yeah.
it just worked out easier. And we've been here for about 8 years. And it sort of switched how I was doing things. I was no longer, working musician. It's been about 20 years of doing that solid, and just being up all night, and decided I'm going to take a break from that. Um,
Yeah.
I decided I was going to focus on being an artist instead of, having a busy repair shop, and also trying to, be like a custom order guitar shop. Um, my shop, Unga, I mainly operated as a ghost builder. Um,
Mm.
for small labels, there was parts casters, and there was also some custom design stuff. And that's where I sort of really, the ghost building is where I really fell in love with instrument design. Uh, and trying to solve problems for different brands. Some of the small lines I made were for players that wanted me to make like a handful of instruments a year to so they can sort of do whatever they wanted with. And those designs sort of evolved as their needs as players evolved. And it was really cool to do that. It was I also I was a partner in a theme guitar company, uh, and we did all kinds of wild stuff, like fruit and vegetable guitars and just wild promotional stuff, and that was really fun to sort of problem solve those sort of scenarios. But a lot of really cool stuff, and Unga, the guitars that I made, with my label on them were just ideas that
Mm-hmm.
I had to kind of push the creativity or the craftsman side of things. And I was already kind of getting my fill at Santa Cruz, and but at the end of the day, I was still an electric guitar player. So I had wants, I had needs, and I kind of used Unga as my way to get scratch that itch, sort of. And
Yeah.
now in Albuquerque, I feel like it's really sort of come together,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I'm finally sort of figuring out how to pull off certain ideas, like a really deep recurve on a Les Paul style, and it's really fun. I'm a hand worker. I don't use CNC. I just love handwork, and it just focusing on being an artist and not trying to please anybody. Um, it's so exciting. It's challenging, right? Because all of this is being funded by me, not a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been sitting with guitars for years now, but I never made them with the intention of selling them. And I think that shift, make every instrument for myself, has really changed how I feel about the process, about the business. It can be really taxing to feel like you need to sell everything you've made in order to be successful. And for me, having to take time off to get my health together and being scared, am I going to be able to do this again? Is was a big thing. I think depression took over at that time, and I was hurting, but getting my health together and then getting back into it, and then putting safety first.
Mm-hmm.
I am usually wearing a respirator in my garage,
Yeah.
and my shop is a one car garage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily I'm not well off. I'm a struggling American. I work to make the ends meet somehow every month, and it's I can't stop doing this. I love it,
Well,
and
you're an artist, and
yeah.
it's interesting. It's so great that you were drawn into this as a younger person, and it's great to have something as a way to express yourself. And your guitars and your designs are just that, expressions of yourself. So it's cool. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's just so wild lately. There's been so many sort of like aha moments. Oh, that's what these people meant, in the past.
Yeah.
And, now we're doing. You can see the poster behind me. We're doing the High Desert Luthiery Invitational,
I
which
wanted to
is
ask you about that. This is your other project, and
yeah.
it seems like a great community based organization. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I can't stop making guitars, and we moved out here, and I was working with local art galleries, and so I'm from the Monterey County area in
Hmm.
California, and there was an art gallery in Carmel that was helping me move my instruments, and it was great. It was like across the street from our favorite watering hole at the time. um, moving out here, I was unknown, right? And there was a few music shops around here in Albuquerque, and they weren't interested in doing consignment or anything like that. For the most part, the music stores out here are pretty like mid-level instruments. Let's see if I can get
You're
it
talking
back.
about sort of getting acclimated into the scene there in Albuquerque.
Yeah, the my experience with local musicians, as I put an ad out on Craigslist, about guitar repair and stuff, and the attitude seemed to be like, we're gonna buy, $100 guitars, wreck them, get a new one, and I was like, okay, this is an interesting thing. It's a different scene out here, and I was getting frustrated that there was nowhere to show my instruments or no stores that were interested. And I stumbled across a poster at a local shop as I was buying guitar strings. Um, and it was for the New Mexico Guitar Show. And it was happening in like 3 weeks. And I was like, how do I how do I join this? Uh, and the manager at the shop was like, "Hey, call this guy. He's running it. He just brought this in today. Like this is happening. It just got put together. It's happening." And it ended up being a really cool show. He had a really really reasonable booth fee. He ended up giving me like a double space. And we made the most of it. We had a great time. I think there was maybe about 20 tables or so, 20 booths. I was at a local casino and we had a really high attendance, considering it was a last minute thing. And halfway through the show, the guy who put it together asked me, "Hey, you want to do another one? And can you help me find some more builders?" Because I think there was only maybe three of us, and one of them was from out of state.
Hmm.
Uh, and and I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll see what I can do." And so we were going to do this 6 months later, and at the same place. And I managed to wrangle up maybe like 15 other local builders, and we had all paid our booth fee. And about a month before the show, the guy skipped town. Uh,
Oh,
with their and it's kind of a weird situation because it wasn't a lot of money that he skipped town with, and the show was looking to be more of like built around
hmm.
custom makers and locals. And I got the word first, and I was the one that broke the news to pretty much everyone. And it was interesting, like I'm not one to give up, so I started thinking right away. And my girlfriend Allison, she was like, "Let's just do something. Let's figure it out." And so I started driving around town looking for a venue.
Hmm.
Um, and I started also asking the other builders because I'm still new in town. I never really got out a whole lot.
Yeah.
I was always working, and and so I started driving around town and asking all the builders, "Hey, do you know of a spot?" And everybody kind of chipped in and kept everything on the list. And when we got to Rio Bravo Brewing, which is the home of our show now, after many no's, we're not interested. We don't do stuff like that. Rio Bravo Brewing said, "How can we help you? What do you need?
Oh, that's
What
great. Yeah.
what can we do to make this happen? And you can have anything you want." And they
Hmm.
have a really big facility, beautiful restaurant, excellent food, excellent drink. They have an outdoor area that's just as big as the inside and then they have a stage out back. And uh, they've been the greatest. And they give us the space for free for the
Hmm.
day, and in turn, we don't charge anybody. The High Desert Luthiery Invitational is free to all the participants and the public. Um, and it's like a dream come true. The biggest hurdle in doing any sort of trade show or small show is the fee, the booth fee.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention getting your product done and getting, putting a booth together if you care, if you want to look polished. It's a big investment. And I mean, we have people coming from, basically the Southwest and even further out than that. And it's a big investment, to travel to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to be able to do this for free is, it's pretty awesome. The NAMM show, you drop 30 grand easily. And people think that they have to do that to be anybody. And my experience with the NAMM show, that's where small labels go to die. Uh, and sometimes maybe one out of 100, lightning
Mm-hmm.
strikes, and they end up doing great. But otherwise, like that's a huge investment
Yeah.
for not guaranteed return. And even doing like the Amigo shows and stuff like that, like it's a swap meet.
Mm.
It's really hard to get noticed when the majority of people are more interested in the buy or the trade, right? And the swap meet aspect of it. And we definitely didn't want to have that. The I'd say the biggest influence for my show was the Hillsburg Guitar Show. And I really liked how you could go and meet the makers.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty quiet. Um, and when I was going, I was working for Santa Cruz, and I got to meet a lot of people doing that. And so going to the show and being familiar with a lot of the bigger faces was was cool. And if you knew one guy and they were friendly with you, then everybody would be friendly with you and kind of like let you into their secret world,
Mm.
right? And it was really cool. So we tried to recreate that, but also include everything around stringed instruments.
Mm.
Like Dava Picks is out here in Albuquerque, and Dava's been with us since the beginning. Um, there's a bunch of guitar strap makers out here, along with all the different luthiers, mandolin makers, violin makers, guitar makers of all sorts. Um, there's just a lot to go around just here in Albuquerque
Yeah.
alone, and you stretch out further, and there's some amazing builders for sure. But it's been really cool to put this thing together. We call it the HDLI now, and we're coming into our fifth show. Year starting year number 3 of doing this,
Okay.
and I like, oh man, I never imagined I'd be doing this, and I love it.
So you have a show coming up next month in December?
Yeah, so it's a few weeks, Sunday, December 7th. We're in 2025 right now, and
And
yeah,
where is it again?
it's at Rio Bravo Brewing,
All right.
and once again, it's free admission. The event happens from 11 to 6, and figure out a way to get there. It's a great time.
That's great. That's a great thing that you're doing there for the community, and yeah, congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And, if you make it to the show, I don't have the guitar with me right now, but I raffle off one of my Unga guitars at every show. It started off as I have all these shop guitars, shop projects that sort of sit on the shelf, and I started finishing those and raffling them, and now it's just a custom build. This year, I'm raffling off the first acoustic guitar that I've made in 10 years, and
Oh,
it's
cool.
a fairly original design. We have If you follow us on Instagram or just go check out the Instagram, there's a bunch of videos up about it. We do our best to share about everybody in the show on the High Desert Luthiery Instagram page as well. You can, catch us there as well as our website, highdesertluthery.com. And we got links to everybody in the show. You can find our podcast through there. It's everything's there. You can find it all. We try and make it as easy as possible, and just spread the love.
Yeah.
And
Awesome, man. Well, congrats. It's a great show. If you're in the area in Albuquerque next month, check it out. Perry, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck.
yeah, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate this.
You bet, man. Anytime. All right. Thank you.